Okay, well, we're here. We are on YouTube.
Finally.
Finally.
It's only been like a few years at this point, but
Yeah.
we've finally found the time to do it.
Or
Somehow.
Yeah. We've taken the plunge for sure.
But yeah, we're excited to be on here, and that way we can share longer videos, more about our lives,
Yeah.
things like that.
Because on TikTok and Instagram, we can only share so much in a short period of time. And there's a lot more to us. So
Yeah,
this allows us to expand.
yes.
Yeah.
So we're going to kick it off with how we met, kind of the detailed, nitty-gritty version of how we met, started dating, and just kind of our story of how we met.
Yeah.
Should I
Take
say
it
it
away.
one more time? How we
That's
met.
great.
Okay, so it all started kind of like as a backstory. I moved to Nashville, which is where I ultimately met Whitney. I moved to Nashville because I was dating a girl at the time who lived in New Orleans, which is only, I guess, a 7-hour drive from New Orleans, Nashville. And so I went there to go to nursing school to kind of stay close to New Orleans a little bit. So then I went to nursing school and then graduated, and I was looking for a job in one of the hospitals in Nashville.
Well, at the time, your girlfriend had moved to Nashville.
Yes, she had moved to Nashville right before I started working at the hospital that I ultimately ended up working at. But I was looking at a few different hospitals and didn't entirely even know what department I wanted to be in.
You originally thought you wanted to be an OR nurse, though.
Yeah, I did. I thought I wanted to be an OR nurse, and spoiler alert, I actually went into the ER, and that's where I met Woody. But I just kind of randomly interviewed at this one hospital. It like really wasn't even one of my top ones, but I just thought I would interview.
For an option, as an option.
Yeah, and then ended up really liking it and decided to work in the ER there. And then that is where I was paired with Whitney
So
to
my-
be my like mentor, preceptor, that kind of girl.
Yeah. And I had no idea that, they were interviewing new grads in our ER, but it wasn't uncommon because you kind of want to take advantage of somebody that needs a job and is willing to learn. And so come to find out, the director of the ER at the time, she had interviewed a couple people, Alex being one of them, really liked her, was begging for her to choose the ER there. And she did. And then shortly after that, she had come to me. I was working one day and she stopped me in the hall and she said, Whitney, will you please precept a new grad? And I had just gotten done precepting a number of other people back to back. And for those of you who are not in the medical field and have never, precepted anybody,
It's a lot of work.
it's a lot. It's
Especially
actually,
with a new nurse.
yes,
With no experience at all in the real world.
you're
It's a
starting
lot of
from
work.
scratch, yeah. And so her coming and asked me, will you please precept a new grad? And I said, oh, okay. And she says, but wait. This person is going to be perfect for you. You guys are going to be like a perfect match. She's really smart. I can tell she's going to get it really quickly. This should not be as much work. And I said, okay,
We'll see.
We'll see about that, but I believe you. All right, I'll do it. And so, but I just always look back now, thinking about that. I always look back and how the director came to me and said, I've got the perfect match for you. You guys, your personalities are just going to fit perfectly. Little did she know how perfectly we would fit.
Yeah.
So fast forward, she said she was going to start in a few weeks. She had to go through some like HR stuff
Classes and stuff like that.
So you can tell this story about the first day.
So now, my first day at work, I show up in my brand new scrubs and my brand new New Balance tennis shoes, which back then was not a cool thing to wear, but that's what Google said was the best tennis shoe for nursing.
You Googled it?
I did Google it, and that's what it said.
Okay.
And then I had an empty backpack, a bright red empty backpack. And it was empty because my friend told me I had to bring something, and so that's what I brought. It wasn't empty. It did have, if you're in, nursing or anything, It's one of those clipboards, that you can fold, and it's got like all of the vital signs and pain scale and stuff on.
How cute.
It did have that. But I did have that.
She never once used it, never once took it out, but it was just in there.
But I had it just in
to make
case.
her feel good that she came prepared.
Yes. And it was me and another nurse, another new nurse that we were both starting the same day, and they were like, okay, come into huddle. You'll meet all the other nurses on the unit, and your preceptors should be in the huddle. She was not in the huddle. Whitney apparently was running late.
And you have to prep. I am a prompt person. Like I run on time.
She's punctual.
Yeah.
But that was not a day that she was punctual. And I was thinking, of course, my preceptor isn't here. I don't know anyone, obviously, because I'm new to this unit. And I'm just going to, have to hang out until she shows up. And, it was, I don't know. But eventually...
So, I'm usually never late, especially to work. It's just not a thing that's typical for me. It happened to be that one time I was running late, and which I didn't want to start the day off like that. So I may have been in a little bit of a sour mood walking in, and I didn't realize that this was going to be the day that she would start. So on top of that, I walk in going, "Whoa, this is day number 1 with my preceptee." So of course my friend was orienting the other new grad.
Yeah. And so her friend walks in all bubbly and happy and, "Hi, I'm so-and-so, and I can't wait to precept you." And then she was like, "Let's go."
Let's go. Hi, let's go.
And I was like, "Great.
I got the bitch.
I got the bitch." I mean, geez, okay, let's go.
Yeah. And I cooled off really quickly.
Yeah. Very serious at first, very let's get to work, which is a good thing, don't get me wrong. But it made me a little nervous at first.
Good. All right. But honestly, now that she knows me, and it didn't take her long to realize that I am at work, especially in the ER, I'm focused. I wouldn't say I'm mean. I'm not mean. People never called me mean, but
no, people would say she's unapproachable just because she seems very,
intense.
Yeah, intense. Yeah, that's a good word.
But I'm not an intense person in general, but at work in the ER, it's a busy environment, and then especially given the fact that I have been handed a new grad to orient, number one, wanted to set the expectation that...
Yes, she did. She would get mad at me if there wasn't the exact number of supplies in each room.
I did not get mad. So, okay, this first
she
day,
would give me constructive feedback if it wasn't the exact
that's
number.
Better. So, first day, I go, okay, come on, let's go. I tell her my name. She tells me her name, kind of the, short pleasantries. And then I said, okay, so let's go stock our rooms. And I showed her one room, and I said, okay, now you do that room, I'll do the next room, and then I'll come back and check your work. And I come back, and...
it was missing a urinal.
And I made sure she knew about that.
She was like, it's good,
but you missed a urinal.
There's not 2 urinals in here, there's only 1.
Well,
and I was like,
hey,
great.
I had to set the bar. I had to set the bar a little bit. But, really quickly, though, she broke the ice, I think, with me and kind of...
Yes, I lightened her up a good bit from the very beginning. Made it, I don't want to say more lighthearted, because it's still the ER, it's still serious, but at least we could have a little bit of fun while we were there.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was just funny because even from day 1, I was trying to get to know her a little bit, asking if she was in a relationship, just...
Small talk.
Honestly, just wanting to get to know her, no incentive behind that. But then she would ask me about my boyfriend or about men or boys in general, and I would kind of use
they.
Yeah, they are vague, just answers, and she never caught on for a while.
Pew, right over my head. But first impression, what was your first, other than, well, I got the bitch, but past that?
Beautiful, obviously. Really smart, which was intimidating. I don't know, I just thought you were really cool. That was the word I used to describe her to all of my friends that first day, was that she was just really cool.
And that you think you're in love with
Yeah,
me.
and I did say I think I'm in love with my preceptor. Did say that.
My first impression, because I was so obviously in my own head and upset at running late, it was just all superficial, and that she's just, drop dead gorgeous, which intimidated me in a certain way. And then I quickly realized, because I think it was on day one, I said, have you ever started an IV before? No. I said, okay. And looking back, I probably shouldn't have done it, but you took it and you did it.
I would never do this to a new nurse, but...
You know what, though? I had a feeling, and she started her very first IV on a thumb. And...
in the trauma room.
It was a stable trauma patient.
I mean, they weren't dying, no, but like the whole trauma team was in there and everybody was doing things. And
But I did ask, I put the feelers out to everybody. I said, hey, if you guys have somebody that needs an IV, we're your girls. And so I figured, this person's going to have really good veins. And they had no veins except a thumb vein. And I was like, all right, let's go. Let's do it. And she got it. And that was, clue number one. This girl has balls and she's got brains. So
it's funny that she says I have balls, because I wouldn't call report in front of her or talk on the phone in front of her the entirety of my orientation.
And the orientation is not like a week. It is 3 months. And she would be like, leave. And and here I am going, I am precepting you. I have no idea what kind of report you're giving. She refused, so I'd have to literally walk away and go to another room or go see one of our patients.
She made me self-conscious about
I
my
made her
report
nervous.
that I was giving. Yes,
which is not typical for Alex. So, anyways,
no, I don't really get nervous easily, but Whitney did make me feel nervous at times. But yeah, from the very beginning, we had a lot of chemistry, just as friends and people in general. She's just one of those kinds of people that when you meet them, you immediately get along, and it's just easy from day one.
I felt the same way.
So it was always like that.
Yeah.
And the time we spent together was 3 months to begin with, because I was orienting 3 days a week for 3 months in the ER. And funny thing is I was supposed to be mainly on night shift, because that was what I was hired for, but Whitney was day shift, and so I requested to be on day shift,
2 shifts.
Yeah, 2 shifts out of the week, and then a night shift 1 or 2 times out of the week. So I would flip-flop every other day between day and night shift, just so that I could orient with Whitney.
Anybody, whether it's in medical field or not, anybody that does night shift understands that if you flip back to days, it's almost impossible. And she did that because she wanted to spend more time with me, and and she liked learning from me, I think.
No, I did, because like I said, we got along well, but I also learned really well from Whitney, because she kind of knew my strengths and weaknesses and what I needed to work on and what
she can let me go and just do on my own.
Yeah. So,
but I feel like you flipping back and forth. We were flirty. I don't think that I knew you're staying on day shift because you were interested in me.
No. It was this whole time. It was more so we just got along really well. We were good friends at work. Patients would always comment on the chemistry we had. Coworkers would bring it up. It was just we got along really well. It was easy, and I learned well from her. And so we were just friends those first few months.
And we started slowly here and there hanging out outside of work with other friends and.
Yeah, so backtrack.
So that friendship was building.
Yeah, and going back is, I moved to Nashville, then my then girlfriend moved to Nashville before I started this job. And then, soon after I started the job, the relationship had already kind of been fizzling out, but then we broke up. I broke up with her, and then it was kind of a slow taper off, just because it was kind of, I guess, more unexpected for her. So at the time, we would all hang out, outside of work, because we were all friends, and we'd do work events, and then just we went ice skating all one time,
Yeah, and
friendly activities. Yeah. So at this point we were just friends. We never really talked outside of work, never texted or anything like that. But then about 3 months, about 3 months into our relationship, 3 months into orienting.
Friendship, yeah.
Friendship is when things kind of took a turn, I guess.
And you had come out at some point to me saying, oh, by the way.
Oh yeah, this is maybe after the first week. I was okay, I'm going to send you a Facebook request. Please don't be surprised. Literally, this is what I said. Please don't be surprised by who.
Or what you see.
What you see, yeah. because obviously I had pictures of me with like another woman on there.
And I like, and I pull it up and I
Her
see
response
it. Yeah.
was, "You do you, girl," or "You go,
It's
girl."
all girl. Yeah, it's all
you
good.
go, girl. And I
God.
was like, okay.
What kind of freaking response?
Yeah,
Goofy response is that?
Yeah, I said, please
Whitney?
don't make it weird.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah. So at this point, yeah, she knew that like I was gay and I had dated women before and everything.
And like deep down, would never say this to anybody else at the time, but deep down, I was going like, oh my gosh, like never thought that we would be anything, but I deep down was like, oh my God, like I'm attracted to her and she's gay, like what? And I had always kind of secretly thought to myself, you know, I am attracted to females, and never outright said that to anybody, but I don't know, it didn't say that in my head, oh, I've got a chance, because I didn't know about your relationship fizzling out. You had not opened up about that to me yet, but as far as I knew, she was in a relationship, so I never once thought and mentally took that step toward her in a relationship type of way.
Well, neither of us did really, until things were settled with my previous relationship, and time progressed. I was off orientation, so she wasn't like my preceptor anymore. And then it didn't even go from like friends to dating. It was, then we started texting outside of work, just about work stuff at first. It wasn't anything like deep or anything.
Yeah.
But then it progressed to like, okay, now we're talking more and more. And then it got to the point where we were staying up all night talking to each other. And then it was like, okay, what does your future look like? What do you want in a partner? What do you see yourself doing in 5 years? It was kind of...
And also, talking about nitty gritty here, when we would have these conversations, and this was after she had broken up, I said, oh, so do you think that are you gay? Are you bi? Do you think you'd ever go back to, maybe dating a guy? Yeah, I don't know, maybe. And I think she was, and now knowing, she was kind of putting that, I want her to chase me. If I know she's into me, I want her to be like...
Yeah, and I didn't want to be super forthcoming, because at this point, all she's ever dated is men. She's never even hinted at it. She may be into women, so I'm like, I'm not going to freak her out and come on super strong.
Or were you playing hard to get? I don't know.
Both.
Okay, being a little mysterious. I wouldn't say
I
hard to
also
get.
told her that I was into blondes, not brunettes, just because I didn't want to seem like
Well, your
desperate.
ex was blonde, so it was easy to believe that.
That's true. But yeah, so it progressed slowly but quickly. I mean, slowly in terms of
Us getting to that point where...
friends for so long, but then once we kind of entered into that, like, this could be something else, or we want it to be something else, then it started moving quickly.
Oh, yeah.
And then it kind of all came, I guess, to a head when we had stayed up all night recently talking about like future plans and all those things. And then at that point, I knew she was into me. She hadn't explicitly said that, but I knew it. I could just feel it. I could tell. I just thought, is she going to allow herself to
take that step
and be with me, or pursue us in a romantic way? That's where I was hesitant on, do I bring it up and
risk losing a friend, or do I bring it up just and feel like,
feel stupid, like, oh shit, she wasn't even into me like that.
Yeah.
But I knew there was a chance at this point. And so then, like, I don't know, a few days later or something along those lines, I kind of said, okay, are we doing this, or
is this something or not?
Yeah, is this something that we can pursue, or is it not?
Yeah.
And she kind of gave me a vague answer.
Because at this point, I remember my answer. You'd recently gotten out of a relationship, and I was trying to respect that, but I think I was also just a nervous response too. I was like, maybe you need to just focus on being single, or are you okay with...
And at this point, it wasn't like, hey, can we, like, start a relationship? That's not what I was asking. It was more so like...
Are we on the same page? Are we into each other?
I'm into you romantically, I think, or I could be. Like, is this something that...
You as well
feel, or like, do we just need to cap it at we're friends and like let's create some space? So that's more so is like, okay, is this something that you also feel, and that you also could see yourself moving forward with?
Right. And I gave a kind of a vague answer, and I also said,
and she said, yeah, like,
but ultimately
so finally you were initially like, you may need time,
Yeah.
or I don't want to like overstep, or it's kind of like that sort of answer. And I pretty much said, well, I enjoy this, I enjoy you, I enjoy talking to you. I don't want to lose what we currently have.
Unless you want the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Essentially, I was kind of saying like, I like you romantically, I'm into you. We can be friends, but it's it's going to be different moving forward if you're not into me the same way.
Right.
And then that's when you kind of opened up a little bit. It was the most I'd ever heard her say that she could be into a woman, specifically me. You had said something like, yes, I agree, this is something I want to, or this is something I also feel. And you did make a comment like, this is scary for me just because you are the first woman I've let myself feel this for.
Yes.
Which I also respected because I knew I was the first girl that she would be with.
And not only, but there comes the next step. If this is something as real as deep down I thought it was, and you felt it as well, we knew that eventually
it leads to coming out and
Yes.
telling your family and telling your friends and telling your coworkers.
And I think that was mostly, in my mind, not only because when it's right, you being the first female, that was easy. That actually was the easy part. It was everything that comes after that. That was, and I'm a Virgo, I'm a thinker, I chew on things
Planner,
a lot, I'm a planner, and I was going 10 steps ahead, and I was a little bit just nervous about it,
But she really, to me, once you were like, you kind of confirmed like, yes, I'm also into you in that way, then you were like pretty open to anything, like all the experiences. Like then we started going on like more formal dates, I'd say.
we went to Belize.
Well, that's a little fast, like going forward. Like
Yeah.
first we were just going on dates in Nashville.
Oh, yeah, you're talking about initially.
Yeah. We just like did very casual things. She would come over to my house and we would just, hang out and whatnot. But you were very like comfortable, I guess.
Oh yeah,
I remember when I first, pursued a girl or had my first like relationship with a girl, I was so nervous. It was like I felt like I was going to be awkward or it was going to be awkward because I didn't really know how to act, but you weren't really like that.
But I think it helped that we had already developed a friendship and knew each other for months leading up to that. So it wasn't like, hey, I met you online, let's start dating.
That's true.
Like
That's true.
We really knew and felt comfortable with each other, and so it was just taking that next romantic step, and I already felt comfortable with you. So I think that really in my head helped a lot. But
And I will say, like, also from the very beginning, once we decided, like, yes, this is something we both want, it was just like known that we were eventually dating. Like, it was never like a moment in time where, like, will you be my girlfriend? It was just one day she referred to me as her girlfriend.
essentially, I was like, what did I say? And I go,
She like came out of the bathroom and she said something like, "Oh, I'm going to dinner with my girlfriend," or something like that. And I was like, "Oh, okay."
yeah, and I was like I was shocked that she was like, oh, okay. And I was thinking, well, yeah, I'm not dating.
I just
anybody
thought
else.
I
Like,
would have to be the one.
hell no, I've hit the jackpot.
Well,
Why the hell would I want to go date anybody
I just
else?
thought since she had never been in like a woman-loving woman relationship, that I would be the one to say, like, "Do you
Will
want to
you
be my
be-
girl?" Not
Yeah.
like that, but I don't know. Like, do you consider yourself? I don't know.
Exclusive, like us.
And on that note, she was the first one to use like pet names and stuff like that, which I found, I don't know, not interesting. I found that like,
Comforting, endearing. Or,
yeah, I was gonna say like hot, but that's not the word either.
Oh, we can use that word. That's fine too.
She was the one that used pet names first. Like she was always very like forthcoming. She wasn't very like shy or anything like that, which I always enjoyed
And
or
that
liked.
honestly, that's though quickly. I think you can say the same thing, but personally, that's how I knew like this is long term. Like because of how easy it was, and I never felt like a fish out of water. Everything just seemed so effortless and never awkward ever.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, and then that's when we like went to Belize. This is probably like a few months into dating.
hadn't come out yet.
No, yeah, so we did keep it a secret for around 4-ish months.
But honestly, like all our friends and coworkers, I think they all knew.
No, I'm sure they knew,
Yeah.
but we just didn't confirm it to anyone. We didn't. She didn't tell her family. I didn't really tell anyone, friends or family, I guess. And it was kind of nice though, just to kind of have a moment for ourselves. It was nice, just because we knew once we did come out as a couple, there would be a lot of questions. There would be a lot of like housekeeping to do. Like she has to come out to everyone. This is the first girl she's been with, so it's, answering questions
There's
on.
just more to it than.
Yeah. Also, since I had gotten out of a relationship, a few months prior to us getting together, I didn't want people to think like, oh, she's just a rebound or that there was any overlap or anything like that. I just was kind of worried about public perception, which hindsight maybe I shouldn't have been, but I just didn't want people to question our relationship because I knew,
Right.
or we both knew that this was something that was going to be forever, and I just didn't want people to think less of it, I guess.
Right.
But yeah, so then you came out after our Belize trip when we were not out, but our Instagram captions were like, she's the best catch of the day, and stuff like that. Or like,
Yeah.
what's prettier, her or the water?
Right.
Like, okay,
I mean,
that wasn't
no.
really discreet
No.
looking back.
No.
But then that's when you came out, was after that trip.
Yes. And great reception. My mom, I had already come out to her.
Maybe we'll save the coming out story
Yeah.
for another video, our
Yes.
next video.
But yeah,
That is the very long story of how we met and how we kind of progressed from friends to girlfriends.
from strangers to coworkers to friends to girlfriends.
Yes.
And then maybe next video we'll kind of go into, the coming out and the engagement and then our wedding and kind of life since then.
Yeah.
And if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask in the comments below, and we'll do our best to answer all the questions and give you guys some more inside scoops.
Yeah. But yeah, thanks for listening.
Yeah.